Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. This is your host, Teri Wellbrock. And for those of you watching on YouTube, you're probably like, Teri, what happened? You're looking at all your stuff, your angels, and all your pictures and everything. Your walls are empty. I'm getting ready to paint. So pick your favorite color. I'm leaning towards purplish blue. Yeah. And so a lot of change has been happening. So I thought some new colors would be really awesome. And then my tower isn't working, so I'm on my laptop, but we adjust and make things happen around here. So anyway, I am really, really looking forward to this conversation with Dr. George Ackerman. He is Sharon's son, George, and founder of TogetherForSharon. He's going to talk to us about his mother and her journey with Parkinson's and what he's doing to spread awareness. So welcome, Dr. George.
I want to thank you first and your audience. It means the world to me and my family and the millions out there throughout the world, unfortunately, still battling Parkinson's disease today. And I lost my mother on 1/1/2020. It was kind of shocking, and we didn't expect it because all the doctors said, probably 15 doctors, that you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it. My mother was a young 69, and in my weird world, in 2024, I think you should live till 85, 90 or more. So we were kind of like shocked when it occurred. She had it for 15 years, but for some reason, the last four progressed very drastically. And that's when I took over her life as her caregiver. I wasn't prepared. I never took a course. I don't think you can on caregiving, but I don't think sitting here today to speak to you even live, I would be the man I am today or have accomplished what I have if it wasn't for my mother's sacrifices. She was a school teacher, Brooklyn, New York. I grew up, and she gave up her master's and all her work, her life to raise me and my brother. So I knew that when it was time for me to step up, that I would be honored to be right by her side. And unfortunately, again, we tried everything you could dream of, and I don't regret anything today except that we still don't have a cure for Parkinson's disease. And then, so I was her caregiver for about 4 years. And then as she passed or afterwards, I thought we'd just start a website in her memory. I thought maybe like 3 or 4 people would see it and that would have been fine. But all of a sudden, we've had over 50,000 people now, and it's growing. And not sure if it's from my work or that sadly the disease is the fastest growing neurodegenerative disease in the world. About 1 million people in the US, 10 million throughout the world. And it's really tough some days waking up, and even some nights I don't sleep thinking about my mother, but fighting still today in her memory for all those still going through it. Because as you're probably well aware, any disease doesn't just affect the person diagnosed, it affects the family and the community around them. But again, even being here with you today helps me still cope because I'm still grieving 4 years later because, she was my best friend.
Well, thank you. Again, my heart hugs yours. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that, because my mom died last year on my birthday at
Sorry to hear.
87. And I just said to her this morning, I missed you so much, Mom. Like I just something triggered and made me think about her, whether it was a smell or a sight of something. And yeah, she became my best friend in our last few years of life together as I became her POA, medical POA. And um, it's just such a gift, really, to be able to have that time with them, and to be able to travel that journey and really honor their journey. I see your book, A Son's Journey. I can't read the little words. Parkinson's disease, caregiver to advocate.
Yeah, we
Um,
actually just put it out a few months ago, and I didn't really want to write a book, but I noticed, which you might be surprised, and I was shocked that there isn't one other son throughout the world or even on Amazon that has ever written a book in their mother's memory who passed due to Parkinson's. And I decided, my background before advocacy or even caregiving, I'm an attorney in Florida and Washington, D.C. I'm also a police officer. I'm reserved now, and I have a PhD in criminal justice. So I'm a professor of criminal justice. So I've written books on constitutional law and legal topics, which are kind of, no offense, a little boring. So this was more hit home, obviously. In the last year of my mother's life, I kept a journal. Every day I wrote in it, and it documented through one chapter of the last year of her life, which was probably the hardest of my life. I don't think anything will ever relive what like that was like. And I find sometimes can't really talk about it because it's too painful, but putting it in the book, at least it's out there and people can see, step by step, day by day, the good, the bad, and the ugly of a caregiver going through Parkinson's with their mother. And the thing is, every journey is different, but it's, we don't really want money for it. We donated everything from the proceeds to organizations like the Michael J. Fox Foundation, so I don't accept money. We spent a lot, like you might know. I don't know what I was self-published because a lot of people aren't aware of Parkinson's, and oddly enough, just this few weeks, it's become a national attention. People like Ryan Reynolds, the famous actor, just came out and spoke, gave a whole speech about his father, Parkinson's. Willie Geist from NBC is now very public. Chuck Schumer, the majority leader in the Senate's family member, has it. As you know, and I don't get into politics because this is actually a bipartisan thing. Just a few weeks ago, the president finally signed into law the first bill in U.S. history called the National Plan to End Parkinson's Disease, which was pretty exciting because I got to work on it on behalf of Florida. But to have the first one ever, which is kind of sad but great at the first, it's like how could this be the first ever in history law to help people with Parkinson's and their family? But so, and as you might be aware, if you anyone watching the news a week or two ago, the biggest thing in the nation was did President Biden have Parkinson's? Now, I don't care about whether he has it or not. I hope he doesn't. But just that the fact that it's now at the fingertips and mouths of the national conversation, in a way, is very healthy. The reason for the conversation not that good, but it shows that now people are kind of getting a hint as to what Parkinson's is, and I never want anyone to go through this battle like I did as a caregiver, my mother feeling alone. And that's why we do what we do. And we started TogetherForSharon.com in her memory, but it's now become a worldwide resource where it lists a lot of resources locally for people listening if you want to get involved. Also, you can do it virtually today. I also have an exciting announcement that I didn't tell many people that we just finished first of 4 series of books that's coming out hopefully in the next month. And I'm trying something new. I'm literally going to offer it an ebook free, which is very harsh, but I wanted it to get out there. And I basically interviewed 800 people around the world, from Africa to India to Italy to Spain to the US to Canada. I mean, you name it, Parkinson doesn't discriminate. And 200 of the 800, I believe, interviews will be in the first book. And they're all completely free right now. If you go to TogetherForSharon.com and click interviews, and I don't accept money for anything. We didn't want to be a foundation because I like supporting other organizations. And this is not about money for me. It's that I don't want anyone, number one, to ever feel alone, but also to ever have to go through this journey alone. And the only thing that breaks my heart today is not knowing a journey out there. And just a few weeks ago, it's crazy. This group of 4 gentlemen rowed like in a boat around the world for Parkinson's awareness, and they raised over, I think, $40 million. So people are doing incredible things, and I can't do that. So I'm like, if I can walk down the steps anymore, but it's incredible. Those are the reason I still do it, even the tough days when I'm tired or drained, and go to a lot of shows. But at the end of the day, we need a cure.
Yes. So can you, and thank you again, thank you for the work you do, and just it's such a gift. Can you talk to us a little bit, so if anybody's listening and wonders, what are the signs? How do you know what is Parkinson's?
Yeah, of course, it's the fastest growing neurological disorder, so it's kind of hard to like really give a picture. But it's imagine I'm taking my hand and reaching, touch the camera. Some individuals aren't able to actually do the movement. It's a movement disorder. So this thing's called dystonia, dyskinesia. It's where the curling of the toes uncontrollable. You get a lot of, it's called bradykinesia. It's stiffness of the body. My mother, towards the 4th year, started getting stiffness in her left arm, and she couldn't even use her arm. And that's when we started to understand and learn. For about 7, 8 years, she knew about it and didn't tell her family. I don't think she wanted to burden us, which I wish she did, but she was very independent and strong. She lived alone, so single mother, and she loved her independence, so she knew I would worry. and who knows what else. Well, the reason I found out is they took her to a special expert and did a Parkinson's trial for Parkinson's patients, but I think they might have drastically changed her medicines too quickly, because that night she came home and I was called to rush over at 4 a.m. She was moving her furniture out of her house frantic, and this is the first time I ever saw hallucinations and delusions, which might have been side effect of Parkinson's, or she might have gotten late onset dementia. But she said to me that she was moving her furniture out of her home because she thought there were Nazis inside and they were going to harm her. And I rushed her to the hospital because I didn't know what was going on. They said we saved her life because of whatever the reaction was. But to be honest, that night and down to the fourth year was all horrifying. And that's where my journey started as a caregiver. And I was side by side with her, kept her at home. We spent a lot of money, but we wanted to do our best to keep her kind of safe, and knowing that we're still there for her. But the medicines only help with tremors. So back to what Parkinson's is, it's a movement disorder. Some individuals shows external tremors, like Mr. Michael J. Fox, the famous actor, who I had the honor of meeting a few times. My mother had more internal, which frustrated her because she felt people didn't believe her. But then towards the end, she did get the external. You also have loss or sometimes slurring of the speech. But the worst thing, again, from those 4 years, she went from a beautiful young woman who could walk several miles a week to the cane for 2 years, then a walker for a year, wheelchair and bedbound for 7 days. And sadly, Florida doesn't have death with dignity, but to be honest, we would have used it, because those last 7 days was something I can't even, it's almost like if we made a horror movie. She didn't have a life. She just had a heartbeat, but she couldn't, eat. She couldn't speak. She wasn't really there, and she was tortured. And we have better care for animals and our loved ones in Florida. But they say there's 5 stages to Parkinson. I won't get too much into the medical because I'm not a medical doctor. I can only speak about, my experiences with my mom. But stage 1 and 2, sometimes you have difficulty walking, changes, they call it facial changes, and the facial masking, movement, symptoms like tremors and rigidity. Number 2 is a little more difficulty balancing. Then it goes to 3, which is kind of where we start shifting, where you can't really live alone. But 3, you can still have daily activities, but eating, bathing, and dressing can be very impaired. And then finally, 4th and 5th are the toughest. That's where you really can't be living alone anymore. Some individuals have to go to the home. We swore that we wouldn't do that, and I'm proud to say we didn't, but there were days where it was not easy. But the last one is where the delusions, hallucinations, even loss of smell. Her gut was destroyed, the constipation in the stomach due to the medications, and then also poor reasoning, sleep disturbance. She never slept. And then it goes down to weight loss, which was really kind of the most saddening, because you see this healthy, vibrant person kind of deteriorate to almost bones. And again, I still to this day sitting here don't understand, and medical doctors don't, why it progressed so quickly.
Yeah, yeah. And I know what you're saying about my mom was in hospice those last, oh gosh, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of her life. And the day that she started to spiral very quickly, it it took maybe 12 or 13 days from then that she stopped eating, and they just kept saying, we don't understand why she's holding on. And we had done everything, from telling her it was okay to let go, but she just continued to hang on. And my sister and I said the same thing, like, excuse me, it feels like torture that we're sitting here watching her basically starve to death. And there was nothing we could do other than just, love on her and cry and kiss on her and tell her we loved her, and just, yeah, very, very difficult to watch. You're right. Yeah,
And
I'm
we
sorry.
send we send our love to you and your family, because we don't want anyone. Obviously, Parkinson's affected us, but I started covering other illnesses too, like ALS, dementia, Alzheimer's, there's some even autism, which isn't a disease, but it's important to talk about awareness. So I kind of expanded a little to other stories, and cancer is another one. because I do want a cure for everything. And I think we're all family in this fight to end many of these diseases. But again, we send our love. But the problem with us, unfortunately, not to diminish anybody, she had a 1 year long-term hospice, which was a new program they started in Florida just a few years ago. So the good thing with hospice long-term, which was a year, was you now get, nursing and real people helping. The downfall is they don't believe in physical therapy, and the only thing that anyone for any disease has is hope that they'll get better. And once you take away physical therapy, that was the end of my mom, where mentally she kind of like just didn't give up, but got extremely upset and angry. And that's when we had the physical signs came. We had to take away her car keys, which was heartbreaking because when you're an independent, I know me, I don't go anywhere with anyone unless I'm driving. Because if I want to go home, I want to go home, or groceries and things. So very interesting stuff and sad. But one thing I do want to point out is there's a lot of positive and light from the darkness that I've had, and that's meeting incredible people that inspire me, like you and all those battling Parkinson's. We started a show too. Actually, I don't know. It was only a few months ago. We're on episode 70. I'm probably gonna have to cut back because I'm burning myself out. That's the number one rule as a caregiver and advocate. Always take care of your own health, but I don't do it because I feel like it's a dire need to get more out there about Parkinson's disease. But our show specifically covers only Parkinson's, and I've had United States senators on. I've had politicians. We've had celebrities, and I've had a message from Kenny G, who played a song for my mother. He was her favorite artist. I met with Michael J. Fox. We've had messages from Jack Osbourne because Ozzy Osbourne, his father, has Parkinson's. Just the other day, a famous celebrity gave a message which was beautiful. But we need everybody from celebrity to athletes to anyone who's willing to join in this fight to find a cure. And I think the key is definitely awareness. But you all still inspire me to keep fighting.
Yeah. I was such a big Ozzy fan in the 80s. I had very eclectic mix. I liked Prince and Queen and ELO, but I loved Ozzy. So I was unaware that Ozzy has Parkinson's.
Also, Muhammad Ali had it, Jana Reno. I mean, now again, it's becoming bigger, which is sadder to me. Like, I wish we could stop Together for Sharon. I'm the only person who wants my website to stop. Obviously, I would keep it out there. Somebody beautiful wrote a song in memory of my mother the other day, and it's on the website. We're actually working on possibly having a documentary. Problem is that I documented the last year of my mother's life, and some of the video and pictures I didn't really want to ever share because I don't want her to be remembered for that. But at the
Yeah.
other side, we need people to know what Parkinson's does. So there's a lot of exciting things coming. We finished a few more books already, but I'm waiting to publish every April's Parkinson's Awareness Month. So that's when I'll probably target. But we do a lot of walks. We went to the Michael J. Fox. We flew into New York. I'm in Florida. We went to once a year, and anyone's welcome. It's called the Unity Walk, where everyone around the world comes together just to remember our loved ones or those fighting Parkinson today. He actually gave a speech, which was kind of surprising. No one knew he'd be there. I got to meet Katie Couric there, one of the senators, and also some other great people, like one of Muhammad Ali's daughters, May May, was there. So it's so much to do, but there's not enough time. Plus, it's just me. I'm only one person and one voice, and I lost my best friend, mother, due to the disease. So I try so hard to do this, but we're not a foundation on purpose. I didn't want it to be about money. Someday we might have to, because my dream is to also kind of give scholarships maybe to future neurologists to help impact and research to find a cure. Can't do that, without a foundation. It's too tough. But our family donated about $25,000-$30,000 in 4 years to various organizations like Drive Toward a Cure, American Parkinson's Disease Association, Power Over Parkinson's, and the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And they're all offering even more incredible things that, we can't do.
Yeah. How are things progressing? Are they starting to um, help people like find medications? Are they starting to, is there any progress being made?
And one big thing is called a biomarker a year ago, Michael J. Fox Foundation discovered. Now, I think it's an invasive needle that goes in the spine, but it can predict if you have Parkinson's, which is huge because now we can avoid misdiagnosis, mistreatment, and a lot of misses. But it's so invasive, I don't recommend doing it because I just had 3 major spine surgeries myself, and they were not enjoyable. Yeah, so that's been my summer, unfortunately. But even from my hospital bed, the second I woke up from recovery, I was on my phone advocating for a Parkinson's cure because that's more important. And I somehow we're on 7 or 8 social medias. And if you go to TogetherForSharon.com and scroll down, you'll see a little tree. Looks like a Christmas tree, but if you click that, you can link to all of our social media, and I'll add you all right back, and that's including you too, Teri. Because I just realized I liked your page just before our meeting because it's important to also help everyone. Please support Teri in this incredible show, because we wouldn't have a platform for Parkinson's disease awareness if it wasn't for you. And I was really not shocked, but excited to know that this is the first time in all your 7 seasons you've covered Parkinson's awareness, because so everyone knows my dream and goal is I love the Parkinson's community and they're my support system, but I do try to find shows that haven't touched on the topic, or people who aren't going through the battle, which kind of sounds kind of backwards, but the reason is I do feel if we don't reach everyone out there in the world, we'll be further from a cure. So that's why, again, I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I consider you after this family, because this is not, a fun topic. It's not an easy one, but it's one that's so important that, if we even reach one person, I would say we've changed the world for them. And that's all we can hope for.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I'm glad you brought up how people can connect with you, because that was one of my questions coming up was, so you said you're on 8 different social media platforms, and then what is the website?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm on so many. It just happened to grow. Like I never. It's funny. A year or two ago, I didn't hate it. But I didn't like TikTok because I'm not a big fan. But here we are. I'm on it. But together, www.together spelled out for FO Sharon.com. So Together for Sharon. You'll see resources. You'll see 800 interviews free. You'll see our journey, my mother's story. You'll see a lot of famous celebrities. It's actually a link where it'll go. The young lady Leah Thompson just gave us a message from Back to the Future. She played Michael J. Fox's mom. I'm trying to get the scientist Christopher Lloyd to give a message, but it's not easy. But we try our best. One sad thing about awareness is how unaware people might be. But I've written to 15 letters to politicians, to media outlets from NBC, big ones. I won't name them, but all the C's, the 3-letter ones, and I wrote to many celebrities, and we just, you get no answer. But I've never learned, as my mother taught me, to take no for an answer, and it's all for a good reason. So you got to just keep fighting, keep trying, because I do think that it's just sad again, but shocking that so many people are coming out today, again, nationally, talking about. There's another huge celebrity, I don't remember the name right now, who just put a show on about Parkinson's. Robin Williams had a form of it. Unfortunately, a famous comedian, Richard Lewis, recently passed away, who I really admired. And I was speaking to his agent literally to have him on our show or to talk. And they said he's not, he's busy right now. Well, 3 days later on the news, it pops up he passed away. And it was because of Parkinson's, but he didn't want to talk about it. He was very private. Now, I have no problem with that. Everybody deserves privacy. That's why Michael J. Fox is a hero of mine, because he had it at young age, young onset Parkinson in his 30s. And he decided to fight back and become the role, like the face of Parkinson's awareness. He's raised over $2 billion, not million, and he didn't have to do any of that. He could have led a quiet life and kind of went away, but he didn't. And there's so many people you just don't know or realize that either suffer for Parkinson's, had it, or just never really came out in the news about it. And that's a problem, because I think that if they also join in and help, they don't have to work with me, but just use their voice, they can really change the world. And I just fight today for the people who I feel are voiceless, and in memory of I think there's probably like 80 million people who lost a loved one due to Parkinson's, but a lot of the organizations, and I love them all, they don't have a seat for me or people like me, because I don't have Parkinson's today. I'm no longer a caregiver of someone with Parkinson's. I'm in a third category that sadly I feel in my experience has been forgotten. And that's, again, someone who's lost a loved one due to Parkinson's. And I often don't get to be asked to speak, because I think they don't want to hear about the sadder side of Parkinson's. And, a lot of these organizations are great. They treat people with Parkinson's and the families, but it's like when you lose a loved one, the door shuts, and I'm almost like, I'm trying to, wait, what about me? And I'm still a person, and my mother still matters. So she's not with us, but I'll always fight in her memory and in the memory of all those. We actually just started a page on a section on Together for Sharon called In Memory. If you click on it, a little candle's burning, and it's hard because I have like 15 people we've interviewed in memory. So it's a loved one who lost someone due to Parkinson's. But it's hard, I got 800, almost 1,000 interviews of people alive and battling. But it's very rare to find someone who will speak because either they're not here anymore or the families have kind of went away. And that's one thing I wish I could do more is bring them all back. Because I feel if you bring back those, who knows how 20 million people who lost a loved one, wouldn't we be so much stronger today, But that's one thing I see. And I take issues that I find problematic and I try to bring them up. And that's what I do with my book. The interview book is more of a fun journey about all the other journeys that I have. My next book's done. I'm waiting again to publish, but it's actually a focus on policing in Parkinson's because right now throughout the United States, there's nothing, no programs really at all for Parkinson's and police, which is a big problem as an officer because, or even just a person of a loved one of Parkinson. It's a movement disorder. So if someone is on the wrong timing for their medication, happen to be driving at 4 p.m. or 10 p.m., they're going to get pulled over. Well, I've heard horror stories and they're in the book because it's more of a research book. I've interviewed people with Parkinson's, I've interviewed police, and I interviewed one academy in every state in the United States. And I don't want to get too much into it because it's not out, but I just find that there's a big lack of awareness in the field, and I want to save lives, and I want to also help police. So this is a pro-police book, and I'm excited for the future for that one.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I don't know if you know it, but I co-wrote a book on caregiving myself on my caregiver journey.
Well,
Journey. So I know the absolute critical need for these kinds of messages to be out there for those of us who have been on the caregiver journey and those who are traveling the caregiver journey, because really people are looking for a hand to hold. So yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful. Um, so I just wanted to give you an opportunity as we close up. Are there any closing thoughts that you want to leave anybody with, or have any final words of wisdom to share?
I want to thank you again for your time and friendship and your audience. We send our love to everyone out there. And I have one last message I always leave with. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Teri, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. And I always say I'm just getting started because, every day, like I said, even today, you might have things come up in life. And I had a few surgeries, and I think we tried to meet once, and we could have just said, you know what, forget it, move on, but we didn't. We fought back the things, the technical issues, and we got it done. But every morning I wake up and I see another inspiring story, somebody doing push-ups for Parkinson, someone telling me, in Africa, they believe Parkinson's is witchcraft, which is completely baffling. So exposing that story and sharing it helps those individuals, or learning about somebody who's climbing, Mount Kilimanjaro to raise money and funds for Parkinson's really makes me want to jump out of my seat and just get excited to know about them. And that's what keeps me going. So again, everyone, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of incredible things coming. I'm hoping this interview book of 200 journeys comes out soon, and the soft cover will be on Amazon. It'll be a small charge because of the cost, but again, I'm really hoping that the ebook will be completely free, which I've never done before, because it costs several $1,000s to put out. But I really think that these journeys, not just on our website, but in the form of an ebook, would be beautiful. So all the people in it can share it, and everyone listening for free. And that's something that I'm excited, but hope it works out. We'll see.
Yes, wonderful. And I'll put links in show notes, everyone. So be sure to scroll down into the show notes, and you'll be able to find links for everything. So, well, thank you again, George, for joining me, for your beautiful work. Your mom's smiling big, and Yeah, I just so appreciate you being here to share your mission and journey today.
I appreciate it, and we send the love again right back to you and all your listeners. It means the world, and we'll share this too for many years to come. I think it's not just about a 20, 30-minute talk and see you. It's something that has to be continually shared over and over. So everyone out there, please support Teri also and share the show, because you don't realize, someone next door might have Parkinson's. They might not tell you, but they're struggling. And if they, see the show, they might realize now, you know what? There are people out there who love us and care about us, even if we're strangers. And I always joke at 2024, there are people out there like, your hosts and me that don't want anything in return. Again, I forgot to say, I don't accept money. Please go to our page for donations. You can, it's really amazing. Some of these organizations created a link in memory of my mother, but it's to their group, which is great because I don't want to deal with IRS or any money. And that's why I do this for just the love of it and the hope that one day, we don't have to do this, that we find a cure and in my mother's memory. So thank you again.
Wonderful. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us today on Healing Place Podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this healing space and my hashtag Hope for Healing journey. Thank you for sharing, liking, inviting others to join, listening in. You've really helped this show blossom. It has now been downloaded in 136 countries and is in the top 2% globally out of 3.2 million shows, which is just amazing. And it's all because of you and your tuning in and inviting others and sharing and liking and loving. And your reviews on Apple really help too. My goal is to hit 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year, and I am closing in on that. So if you are listening in on Apple or Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show and leave a review if you absolutely love it. And I would be most appreciative. Also, if you would like to receive my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, please be sure to go to TeriWellbrock.com. It's TERI, just one R, WELLBROCK.com. And I have a gift to send you for signing up for that monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. Plus, there are many other resources listed on that page, including a resource library. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.